yeah. Hey, and then Black Adam with The Rock. The Rock was pretty upset because Black Adam basically bombed. They lost so much money from that movie, and The Rock was very disappointed. Was that reaching out to people and saying, "Hey, go to this movie and da 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 da," So
I'd have to say, in sheer volume of movies that he got to star in, The Rock has probably been in more movies than any other wrestler so far.
Right.
However, when it comes down to it, I think Batista, after watching Knock on the Cabin Door, I think Batista might be the best wrestler / actor there is, because he was amazing in Knock on the Cabin Door. I mean, and that was a serious dramatic role. I don't think The Rock could have pulled it off. I know Hogan could have never pulled it off.
No.
Although I love Roddy Piper was more of an action guy. I don't think he could have pulled that role off. But I do love. Have you ever seen Hell Comes to Frogtown with Roddy Piper?
Yeah, that was funny.
If you can find it, Paul, it's awesome. It's Hell Comes to Frogtown with Roddy Piper.
But the acting, the screenplay was just like fucking They Live. His acting wasn't all that great.
He was one-dimensional. He was really good at being himself. He was
But back then, it was like, damn, Roddy Piper is one hell of an actor back then. A lot of people was like, damn, look at Roddy Piper's new movie. And like Jesse the Body Ventura with Predator.
Yeah.
Jesse the Body is, him and Hogan don't only like each other in real life. They had their own little beef in their.
Hogan had Mr. Nanny, or
Suburban Commando, Mr. Nanny.
That TV show. What was it? What was that TV show that he had?
Hogan's Know Best.
Oh no! Before Hogan's Knows Best, it was like an action TV show where he was on a speedboat all the time.
Oh, Thunder in Paradise.
Thunder in Paradise. So
that was so fucking lame. That whole show. He was trying to be like Baywatch. That's all it was. It was a throw-off Baywatch.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, just use wrestlers.
Hogan was great. I think he was great in the ring. He was great at being, in the early '80s, the American hero. I was a little kid when I watched it. I think I might have been 12 years old. But when he beat the Iron Sheik after Sheik beat Bob Backlund, and he did that 1, 2, 3 thing right there. That just we jumped. We lost our minds. That was
Speaking of Iron Sheik, hey, let's watch this little clip here that
oh boy.
It's 2 minutes long. I think we can watch it for a minute, but
all right.
We're gonna put it on. Here we go.
But that little punk, Brian Blair, another little fag, worse than Michael Jackson, and I didn't like him. I didn't like his attitude. He was a punk. I can break his fucking back. Break his back, make him humble, and then fuck his ass. I didn't do it in the Pontiac, Michigan, because respect my sport and respect Mr. McMahon.
You were a professional.
Professional. Otherwise, was ready to do a dream or country way, make him humble, suplex him, put him in a camel clutch, break his back, and then fuck his ass, make him humble, to respect our feet. And I didn't do it because for the God and Jesus and Mr. McMahon. Brent Blair, you are no good. You are worse than Michael Jackson. I'll never respect you again. And then he was lucky to the big man American 2x4 hacksaw. You was lucky, punk. I didn't break your back to fuck your ass, make you humble. And he was lucky I had Sir Jim Duggan come save him, and I didn't break his back. You know what I'm talking about? Because I'm a shooting, man. You're a punk. I respect your partner, Kimber and Zeller. I never respect the gay. I never respect the fag. You are worse than Hulk Hogan. And you're lucky I didn't break your back, and I had to come save you. And that was a great feeling to wrestling 93,000 people, and you were so lucky to the hacksaw come save you before I break your back and I do all country way to make you humble. Besides that, everything was great. I'm gonna fuck him up differently. That will beat the fuck out of him and suplex him, put him in the camel clutch, break his back, and fuck his ass and make him humble. That's what I said it right.
The old Howard Stern.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Hey, when you get the Iron Sheik rolling, he will go all night.
Have you seen, if you go back and watch the footage of when he's got Hulk Hogan in the camel clutch, and you zoom in on it, he's got a hard on.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He has a hard on while he's behind Hogan and giving the camel clutch. And what I find really interesting is that if you put Iron Sheik's wife next to Hulk Hogan in the early 1980s, there is a resemblance. Sorry, Mrs. G.
Iron Sheik, we miss you. We love you. Rest in peace, man. You was a true legend. You made us laugh, man. Even though we couldn't understand what the fuck you were saying half the time, but you know, you was a cool dude, man. You know, Iron Sheik was one hell of the best heels, man. He was one hell of a heel. I give it to him with that.
Hey,
he didn't mind. Go ahead.
No, one of my favorites. I don't know if you guys remember him, Bruiser Brody.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was devastated when he got stabbed by that other wrestler, Jose Gonzalez, a.k.a. the Invader 1. Yeah. That was.
You know, that right there, I think that was more on a setup move for him because, you know, he was part owner. Bruiser Brody was part owner of that WWC, and he was getting into it. And I think what it was Carlos Colon and Vader didn't want him to be a part of it.
Really, also beat the shit out of Vader in an earlier match, and his head was swollen up like a pumpkin, I'd heard.
Well, yeah, and the one that said that was there that was helping
Tony Atlas.
Was Tony Atlas, but other guys said he wasn't the only one there helping him out. So I don't know. It's kind of hard to say. I mean, I believe Tony. I believe what what's his name? Dutch Mantel.
Dutch. Yeah, I saw Dutch's interview, but Dutch. Weren't there two separate locker rooms? Like, I don't know if Dutch was in the same locker room as them.
Well, he said he was there when that happened, and he had heard what was going on.
Yeah. Okay.
And you know, they were saying that, you know, other guys was there that didn't want to have nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
And they were like Tony said, you know, when all this shit took place. And he comes back, everybody's like laughing, having a good time, talking about their matches, and instead of worrying about Brody, you know, Bruiser Brody, you know, and to me, if that happened, you know, if I was there when that happened, I couldn't wrestle, you know. I mean, that's like you kill one of your brothers and somebody murdered your brother and you're in their turf, and they set him up like the mafia had set him up.
Well, I'd heard the Sheik didn't Tony end up wrestling the Sheik, and that night, and they told him what happened in the ring, and Sheik just said, "Pin me, let's bring it home. I'm done. Get the hell out of here."
Yeah, because he was wrestling Atlas. Atlas told him what happened in the ring when they were wrestling.
Yeah, I've heard Puerto Rico has the roughest crowd in pro wrestling.
They do.
They throw batteries at you. They'll try to throw piss on you.
They'll stab you.
It's and I've heard the Japanese are really great fans too, but I never heard anything like that about the Japanese crowd. It only seems that Puerto Rico's got this almost like a prison mentality where they're actually trying to hurt the performers.
Shit, when fucking Abdullah would come out, the whole place gets rat fucked.
Yeah. When
him and Bruiser Brody fought, and man, if you go back and watch some of those clips, man, with Bruiser Brody and Abdullah the Butcher. That was brutal. I mean, that match was brutal.
You know, I can respect. I like Bruiser Brody, and I can respect Abdullah for all the time he put in. But to be honest with you, his was always a blood match. He never really had any moves other than stabbing people. I didn't see.
And he was using that same blade on every guy, and they were getting hepatitis.
Well, there's that. There's different sides with that. But I don't know how many people he actually got, except that
there was a couple of them that got it.
Who's the guy that sued
Hannibal.
Hannibal, yeah.
He tried to kill himself about a few weeks ago.
Did he?
Yeah, the Hannibal. I like his shows. Hey, Hannibal, I like your shows, man. But man, I didn't understand why you was trying to kill yourself, man.
He gets a lot of heat.
All this down here was all messed up down here. It's like, man. I mean, people have their own demons.
He gets a lot of heat from people. I've heard Jim Cornette talk and Brian Laskin talk a bunch of shit about Hannibal. And I've got friends in indie pro wrestling that also have talked a lot of shit about him. So he does not have a huge fan base. And then there's I saw the gimmick, the one we did with Lenny Coppo when Lenny Coppo was alive, where they the backstage heat about the botched move or something that supposedly hurt him. And that was kind of an obvious gimmick. In fact, even the video of it kind of gave it away.
Right.
But I don't wish ill on anybody. I hope that at the same time, because pro wrestling has a history of faking shit, and I almost hate to say this, but was him hanging himself a gimmick?
He was really trying to kill himself, bro.
He really did try to do it. Because
I really tried to do it.
I filmed gimmick. When I was filming a show for SPW years ago, CJ Bates was doing a ladder match, and he's at the top of the ladder, and the ladder kind of falls for a second away from him, and he's got this rope, and it wasn't a thick rope either, it was like a string. It got wrapped around his neck, and he was hanging for a minute, and it looked like he was dying, and it totally got me. I totally thought it was real. It wasn't until after the match that was over that I realized he did that for the match. That was totally part of the show. He got me. I fell right into it. I'm holding the camera and I'm like, Jesus Christ, am I filming some guy hanging here? But it was only.
What was your reaction when you saw that? Were you getting ready to call 911?
It was like a holy shit. What the fuck are they doing? The goddamn Stoner Twins got me too one time on Del Paso Boulevard, outdoor wrestling match, and they stepped through the ring, like the floor in the ring. In one area, and it wasn't until afterwards that I realized that they knew that was a weak spot. They went over there, did it on fucking purpose, and went and stepped right through the gut. So they get me. I'm not that savvy to where I can pick it up as it's happening. It's only after the fact that I see it that I'm like, fuck, they got me.
That happened to me on a match here in North Highlands, where I'm at in the parking lot over here. I was wrestling this guy. Excuse me, I was wrestling this guy, and my friend, the ref, he was like, hey, bro, the ring may not be all that well, just kind of be careful on where you go. Well, I did my powerful move on my finisher on this guy, and when I do like this, it's like a power bomb almost, but I lift him up, and then I come down with him. So, as I did that, the ring had started to get kind of lopsided. One side was up high, one side was down, the other four. It was terrible. And so, 1, 2, 3, it was over. And then once I was getting out, the fucking promoter was like, God dang it, bro, you fucked up my ring, whoa. How in the fuck? I said, first of all, the ground wasn't level. Why didn't you put boards to help make the ring level? That was stupid.
Was it a steel ring? Was it a steel ring?
So yeah, it was a steel ring.
Was it was it just the plywood that popped up, or did the whole thing actually start to shift?
The whole thing was starting to shift.
Wow.
And then now Joe Apple Bomber gets in there. Big guys, bigger than me, they get in there, and they did this one move, and it was the whole ring. The whole ring collapsed.
Yeah.
And it was like, thanks to Broadway, that ring could have been. I said, no, it wasn't, man, because the ground was not level.
That sounds almost like they gimmicked the ring to make it collapse, because that would have been a hell of a finish.
Well, it really wasn't gimmick. They didn't know what the fuck they was doing to put up the ring. They didn't know, okay, the ground is not level, so we got to put plywood boards down to level it, to make it more level, so the ring sits sturdy. You know, because you get good big guys slamming on there.